Hi, Jackie here of readmeeatmedrinkme.com. Thank you so much for visiting my channel. Today's video is going to be a booktube tag. The tag that I'm doing today is called Extraordinary Means. So the Extraordinary Means tag was created by Robyn Schneider, an author who is currently promoting her book by the same name. So definitely go and check that out. Seems like it's gonna be really cool just going off the artwork. So there was an open tag that was open to all booktubers from Anne over at Book Your Imagination. So because of that, here I am doing the tag. So let's get into it. I would give up the internet for a month if that meant that I could get a first edition signed copy of this book. For me, that book would be The Luckiest Girl by Beverly Cleary. I loved that book growing up, probably since when I read it the first time in elementary school, maybe 5th grade. I've always loved that book. It's got a really sweet romance in it and kind of a fish out of water type situation with a girl moving into a new town for a while. Just so good, and it would be fantastic to be able to find a first edition of that book just on its own, let alone a signed copy. That would just blow my mind. I would give up pizza for a year if that meant that I could sit next to this author on a long plane ride. For me, that would be Melissa de la Cruz. I've always loved her work. I've pretty much read every single thing that she's written. So I think it would be really cool to be able to kind of sit next to her, pick her brain. I believe that she once was a magazine editor for one of those high-gloss fashion magazines. So I think talking to her about that would be cool. Getting to know a little bit more about her would be awesome. Granted, she would probably get sick of me because I'd be asking her so many questions. And I probably would have a book on hand of hers because I read her books all the time, and I would definitely get it signed. So I hope that doesn't affect the first question that I just answered. I would sit through 1,000 hours of commercials if that meant that Hollywood would make this book into a movie. My first gut reaction to this was Girl Stays in the Picture by Melissa de la Cruz because it's really good, really funny, but then I realized I would much rather see that as a TV show or even like a Lifetime miniseries than I would as an actual half-hour movie. So if I, 1.5-hour movie rather. So if I had to choose something, like really thinking about it, that led me to my real answer, I suppose, which would be Wicked by Gregory Maguire, and not based off the musical. I do enjoy the musical and I love the music, but I feel like the movie is so much deeper. I would much rather see that on screen, and I don't need to see the singing because I can go on Broadway or whenever the tour comes back for the millionth time in my town. I could just go see that. I want to see the book. There's so many things that happen in it that don't happen in the musical, and it's just so good. I tell everyone who's a fan of the musical to read the book because they're missing out on so many cool things, so many interesting plot points. So yeah, Wicked by Gregory Maguire, absolutely. I would never read a new book again if that meant that I could live in the world of this book. For me, that would have to be Uglies by Scott Westerfeld. I really love the world that he has created. There's so many different like sects of people. There are people who, you know, are under 15, so they haven't had their pretty surgery yet, and so they're, you know, living in like kind of these dormitory type situation, and it's not horrible, but they don't get to live the life that they want to live. And then you have the people that are pretty, who've already had their surgery, but they're bubble-headed, they're not very bright, and so that's kind of an interesting part of his world as well. And then there are the people who live out in the smoke, and those are people that reject being pretty, and they don't want to go through the surgery, and so they are kind of like roughing it out in the wilderness. And then a lot of other stuff happens, so I won't tell you what happens. But I think it's a really interesting world, and I would love to live there because even as things like change and progress over time throughout the series, I still think it would be a very interesting world to live in. even if I like wasn't living the life of one of the main characters, I would still enjoy the world. I think it's a really cool place. So yeah, the Ugly series would definitely be a cool place to live. Plus, there's not like a ton of fighting and war and stuff if you're like an average citizen. You're not really dealing with those crazy things. It's not like if you were living in Hogwarts and Harry Potter where everyone is kind of involved in everything that's bad that's happening to people. So yeah, wouldn't want to live in a world like that. I would let my Google search history be made public if that meant that I could be best friends with this author. For me, that would be Charlaine Harris of the Sookie Stackhouse novels, aka True Blood. I loved those books. I think they were really amazing, and she just seems like an interesting person. And yes, she's older than me. She's, you know, a little older, but I feel like she seems very interesting and has very interesting ideas and creates really interesting mythology when it comes to, you know, her vampires and werewolves and werepanthers and all of that. And I think it would be cool to be around her and be under her influence. Plus, something I thought was really cool that she did, you know, for her fans, which I love when people do things to their fans. She put out a cookbook, the True Blood cookbook, and they are recipes of things that were actually made in the books or on the show or submitted by fans that she thought would fit into the world of the show. So, you know, when people are open to, you know, doing kind of fan service type things like that, it makes me feel like you're a good person and you seem fun, and her interviews seem fun. I want to be your friend. I think we could be friends. Charlaine Harris, if you're watching this, I would like to be your friend. I would donate everything I own to Goodwill if that meant that I could date this character. I don't have a character that fits that bill. Like a date, I don't know. Wouldn't donate everything I have just to go on a date with somebody. Not even a real life person. I mean, you're not even marrying that person. Like, it's not like dating that person. It's just a date. Not about that life. I wouldn't do it. Besides, I'm married, and I don't think my husband would appreciate that. Yeah, he probably would not appreciate that. Well, that is all for this tag. It was really simple, just those 6 little things to answer. I invite you all to also do the tag. I think that it's really cool, but specifically, I would like to tag a couple of people. Number 1, Alan at Yup, I Read It. She's really funny on her channel, and I think that I would like to know what your answers would be to these questions. Also, Olivia at iLivy4Books. And I'm going to butcher this name because she's Malku at Malku Felix. There we go. Yes. So, but yeah, so the 3 of those are the ones that are tagged. I will link down to them below, and I'm really interested in seeing what they have to say about this tag. Thank you again for watching this video. If you enjoyed what you saw, make sure that you subscribe so you can see more videos. I put them out every Friday. Thanks again. Bye.